On.
There you go. Go ahead.
Okay. Welcome back to Bible Caffe, everyone. Um, this is your host, Frederick Vandi. I'm uh, I'm so excited today. I have a brother who's part of the ministry that I just met for the first time today. I'm gonna try to say his name, Thaddeus. Awesome, awesome. But it's great for brothers to be connected. I just met him today, but the connection is just amazing. And he's covering for Mr. Okan, who usually covers the camera. So thank you for being here. And of course, today we also have um, the foundation for the Love Center, because I always tell you guys, Bible Cafe is hosted here at the Love Center in Rio Rancho. And the foundation was founded by Miss Judy's family. Miss Judy, who's with us today, she has been supporting us remotely. Today she came in person to help orchestrate. So thank you for being here as well, Miss Judy. Um, Bible Cafe. If this is your first time joining us, Bible Cafe is a ministry. Is where we get together as a people. It's a fellowship where we get together as a people to dig into the word to find the way, the truth, and the life. The way, the truth, and the life. So there's many expectations of us in our lives. Expectations from our family, from our jobs, from our schools. So many different expectations. But the most expectation is the most high expectation, and that's Yah's. So this we need to find out what Yah's expectation is. Not a religion, but a relationship, right? When Abraham connected with Yah, it was a relationship. Now we have many religions that have come from that faith, but always remember the relationship comes first more than anything else, right? So we're not here to push a religion. We want to have that relationship with Yah, to know his expectations, to know his word, and spend some time together. And at this time, we get some coffee or tea, whatever your heart desires. Go ahead and get it, pour it in your cup. Um, and join us. My cup today, I have ginseng in my honey ginseng. Hopefully, I'm saying that word correctly, but it's honey ginseng in my cup. Tastes really good. What do you have in your cup? If you're joining us live, type it up. You know what you're sipping on. Okay, so you can get whatever you like. However, no wine because it's not communion time. Okay, there is a time for that. It's just not during the cafe time. Save the wine for later. All right. I always have a question, just to gauge the temperature for all of our viewers out there. How are you feeling? Today's a Sabbath day, and today's a day that we should be resting and restoring and spending time with Yah and listening to Him. How are you feeling today? Is your cup half full or half empty? Be honest with yourself. Is it half full or half empty? Assess yourself, right? Because the most important thing for Yah, He wants our cup to overflow. He wants to overflow. Like David said, his cup overflows at the table that Yah set up for him. He wants our cup to overflow. Don't let your cup overflow, man. I don't want nobody to go get burnt and say, Vandi told me to overflow my teacup, man. So Yah wants to overflow your cup, not me. God wants to overflow your cup. Okay. All right. Today's topic, you guys are gonna love it. I know we've had several very interesting topic today. My days, I'm loving this topic. I'm so excited about it. Okay, you ready? Uno, dos, tres. Remember whose you are. I don't know about you guys, but some of us came up on Lion King. You remember that? Lion King, Rafiki. Rafiki is like a priest in the Lion King realm, right? He's sent to go remind young Simba who he is. Who are you? Who are you? And eventually, as they're having a conversation between Rafiki and Simba, Rafiki says, I know who you are. You are Mufasa's son. That's very interesting. He says, he didn't say, I know who you are, you're a doctor. I know who you are, you are a nurse. I know who you are, you're a millionaire. I know who you are, you are. No, we're bigger than those things. We're bigger than the accounts what the money in our accounts. We're bigger than the car that we drive. We're bigger than the house that we live in. Those are all things that Yah created for us before we came into the world. Remember, he created the whole world, the sun. That's why the sun, the moon, and the stars in Joseph's dream bow down to him, because all these are made for us, children of Israel, sons and daughters of Abraham. We don't bow down to the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon bow down to us. Remember that. Because it's all made for us. When you remember whose you are. Because if you forget whose you are, you may start bowing down to these things yourself. We only bow down to the Most High. Everything else is under the Most High. Stars, the moon, and all the power, all the great heights you can think of, the mountains, right? So today's topic, remember whose you are. And today I wore my American flag. I'm an American citizen, and I'm proud of that. And I am a naturally born citizen of Sierra Leone, West Africa. And I'm also very proud of that. But I want to remind myself and all of you who are watching, you are more than nationality. You are more than nationality. So all the Hebrews out there, whether you're in Europe, in Asia, in America, in the Caribbean, South America, wherever you are more than that nationality. Don't let nobody threaten you about nationality. You're more than that. Okay? That's just our status right now. And wherever we are, have a status, the blessing of Abraham follows us. Remember the blessing of Abraham? I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you. So we are a blessing to be wherever we are. We are a blessing to be in Europe. We're a blessing to be in America. We're a blessing to be in Brazil. We're a blessing to be in Ethiopia. We're a blessing to be in the Middle East. Children of Israel, sons and daughters of Abraham, the blessing follows you wherever you go. And if the Gentiles or the nations understood this, they will appreciate us a whole lot more. But who's most important to understand this is us. We have to understand this ourselves, right? So get ready to dive in. Get your Bible. If you don't have a Bible, I'm going to be using my phone. So get your phone. We're going to dive into the scriptures together, and we're going to remember whose we are. And we're going to start. I was trying to think who should we reference. I was thinking, so there's so many different prophets and so many messiahs we could reference, right? I was thinking Moses and all these people, but I thought I'm going to start with David, because David was a songwriter and he loved to do remembrance in his songs. He will remind himself who he is because of whose he is, who he belongs to. Right? So let's start out with David. Psalms 105. Siri, pull up Psalms 105.
I found this on the web.
All right, man. Siri is on it today. Right? Psalms 105. Ooh, boy. All right, let's dive right in. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the people. Who? That opening tells you everything he's going to do. He's a songwriter, so he's very eloquent in this, right? Call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. This whole psalm is going to do that. It's going to make known his deeds among its people. So sing unto him, sing psalms unto him. Talk ye of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Seek the Lord in his strength, seek his face forevermore. Remember his marvelous works that he had done, his wonders and judgments of his mouth. Remember, this is verse 5. Remember his marvelous works that he had done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. Remembrance is very important to Yah. Why? Because Yah is a covenant being. It's all about covenant. So if you forget what covenant you have on you, then you may be out of covenant because you've forgotten who you are. So we have to remember on a regular basis, we have to reflect. And that's why Yah says on the seventh day rest, because we have to, that's a great time for us to reflect, rest, and restore. Right? Remember his marvelous works that he has done, his wonders and the judgment of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. Oh my. You would have thought that I got this straight from here when I call you children of Israel, or when I call you sons and daughters of Abraham. And even all the other nations who are watching, this is for you as well. Because why? The sons and daughters of Abraham and the children of Israel are really missionaries and examples that God uses for the rest of the world. Do you see? To preserve his word, to preserve the way, the truth, and the life. We're called to preserve. But we have certain covenants that follow the children of Abraham and certain covenants that follow the children of Jacob or Israel. Okay? He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. This is David's right. I didn't write this because I just finished saying the same thing. I said this for all the nations. So he didn't say his judgments are only for the children of Israel. The judgments are only for the sons and daughters of Abraham. It said his judgments are in all the earth, all the tribes, Asia, Ukraine, Russia, all his judgments are in all the earth. He had remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac, or we call Ishika. Ishika. I don't know if you heard of the name Shak or Shaka. They all come from Ishika. That's an Ishit name for Isaac. Ishika. Shaka Zulu, Shaquille O'Neal, Shak. All those names come from Ishika, which is Isaac in English. So, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. An everlasting covenant. You see, I'm a businessman. And for all you business people, you know, we do contracts. Contract has a term when it ends. A covenant don't have no term when it ends until that covenant is replaced with a new covenant. It's everlasting. So if Yah says, I'm only accepting this to cover sins, that's what it was. When our tribes used to offer sacrifice of animals, right? Yah accepted that. But when Yeshua came and made a sacrifice, Yeshua is the only Messiah that takes away our sins. We have several messiahs. Moses was a messiah. We call him Musa. Musa was a messiah. But he's not a messiah that takes away our sins. He gave us the law. Yeshua is the Messiah that takes away our sins. And that's very unique. That's very different. No other prophet does that. No other Messiah does that. No other king does that. Yeshua does that. Right? So the covenant was, or initially we made sacrifices with our animals. But now Yeshua made a sacrifice. Guess what sacrifice? We still have to make a sacrifice. But our sacrifice now, since Yeshua's sacrifice, is we are living sacrifices. We're a living sacrifice. That's what God intended from the beginning. He wanted us to be the living sacrifice. Right? So we're living sacrifices and we live for Yah. Yeshua is teaching the way of Yah to us. All right. So I'm saying, and confirm the same unto, so verse 10, and confirm the same unto Jacob for a law and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, unto thee I will give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. So do you see what's going on here? King David is taking his time to reflect because he doesn't want to be lost. Children of Israel, sons and daughters of Abraham, and all the nations out there, if you don't reflect on whose you are, you're going to get lost. That is why Moses told us, teach this to your children's children. He didn't say just teach it to the adults. Bring the little children, let them hear it. Because we need to pass this on like a baton to the next generation after and after. And that's why it's so young. I'm so happy to see Mr. Stadius, because it's a young man. It's nice to see young men being involved in Yah's work. It's really nice because it's almost like that baton is already in that process of going to the next generation. Right? All right. So saying unto thee, I will give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. So now he's remembering what Yah promised. He's remembering all that. It's already happened, but he's remembering it. And he's giving thanks for it. That's what we're supposed to do. Especially Passover is coming. For all the sons of Jacob, we need to keep that. Our people had a covenant with Yah when he saved us from Egypt. We need to keep that. It's an everlasting covenant. Don't say Vandi said it. Go read it. It's an everlasting covenant. Right? So, saying unto thee, I will give the land Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. Remember, in a previous session, our Bible Caffe, we talked about this. The land of Canaan was never supposed to be settled by Canaan. Canaan is the son of Ham. Canaan was supposed to move into the land of Ham. Egypt and all Ethiopia, these were all lands of Ham. And these were the first greatest men in the world, first greatest kingdoms before even Babylon, right? So Canaan was supposed to move there, but he went against an agreement between Ham, Shem, and Japheth. There was an agreement that was made after Noah's Ark that we are going to separate the lands. We're going to share the land. And that agreement was made through casting lots. So they casted lots, and the lot fell for Japheth to go north. Sometimes people say, oh, the Europeans are different from, they're Japheth. We all come from Adamah and Hawa, Adam and Eve. We all come from that. But during that separation, they went up north. So if they have different phenotypes today, it's because of their separation, going to different lands, they have different phenotypes. And the Shem stayed in the middle hemisphere. So the northern hemisphere was occupied by Japheth. The middle hemisphere was Shem. And then the southern hemisphere was Ham's. But the son of Ham, Canaan, decided, I'm not going there. And nobody challenged him on it. So he settled in the land where he's not supposed to. And here's the thing about Yah. Yah is a principled and covenant being. That's why we got to be careful not to be saying, I swear to God. Stop saying that. That's why you got to be careful. Don't be making no vows out, especially fellows. Don't be making no promises to girls just to get you away with them. Because you are ruining, man, that word, ruining, thank you, ruining your future. Because Yah will hold blessings away from you because you made a promise to somebody that you never kept. Don't you go making no promises. Stay away. If anybody asks you for promises, say, I'll think about it. Because once you make a promise, you want to make sure you decide on it. Because Yah is going to hold you accountable. So Canaan should have never stayed in that land. That's why it says in verse 11, saying unto thee, I will give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. That inheritance was for Shem and his children. That's why Abraham was going there for inheritance. Are you following? But Yah is so merciful and so great. He gave Abraham more than Canaan. Because if we go back and read what he gave Abraham, and we did this in a previous session, he gave Abraham the promised land. The promised land is not just Canaan. Canaan, the land of Canaan is specifically for the tribe of what? It's specifically for Jacob, Israel. So it goes from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob, and Jacob's 12 children, right? So Canaan is specifically for Israel. But the promised land is not just for Israel. The promised land is for who? The sons and daughters of Abraham. This promised land, according to the Bible, is described as it goes from the Nile. The Nile. Remember your geography, and this is why we did geography. The Nile to where? The Euphrates. That's the promised land. People always think Canaan is the only promise. No. Canaan is specifically for the Israelites. But the promised land is for all the house of Abraham. All the circumcised tribes of Africa and Arabia. These are the tribes that come from Abraham. And mind you, Abraham comes from a polygynist culture. So how do I know if these come from Abraham? The sons and daughters, sons, not daughters, the sons of Abraham have a tradition where they have a tribal mark called circumcision. Now we practice that in Western culture, or a modern culture. We practice it in healthcare. It's optional, but biblically, it's a tribal mark for the sons of Abraham, for the house of Abraham, because the whole house had to have that mark, and we did that. We covered that in the previous session. So when you want to know where the promised land is, the promised land is from the Nile to the Euphrates. And I'll just go over this just briefly. Here are the countries in the Nile, modern day countries, because it's not the ancient nations were much bigger than this. Ethiopia, for example, the Atlantic Ocean was called the Ethiopian Sea, and India was called East Ethiopia. So you go figure out how big Ethiopia was. So I'm just describing modern countries in the promised land. The Nile flows from south to north, right? Here are the countries on the Nile: Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is east of the Nile, so it's included because it goes from the Nile to the Euphrates, and the Euphrates is in the Middle East. So Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Somalia, Djibouti. This is all promised land in Africa. And then you go to the Arabia: Israel, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen. This is all included in the promised land. Now, a lot of the Ishmaelites / Arabs today still occupy their lands. If you go to Saudi Arabia, it's still ruled by Ishmaelites. And they're very blessed. The sons and daughters of Abraham, blessed. But they're blessed and know it. They know whose they are. Are you seeing what's going on? The Ishmaelites are blessed and know it because they know whose they are. The Israelites, our blessings follow us, and it's wasted because we don't know who we are. Children of Israel, it's time for us to wake up. It's inevitable. Yah is going to do it. Whether you want to wake up or not. Somebody in your family is going to wake up. It's time for us to wake up to who we are. Put away all the religion and start focusing on a relationship with Yah. And go back to the laws and start finding out what Yah's expectations are so that we can walk with him. Because that's what he expects of the children of Israel. That covenant is already in place. Okay? So let's continue with David's reflection here. Saying unto Abraham, right? Talking about Abraham and of course Jacob and Israel. Saying unto thee, I will give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. When they were but a few men in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it. So, Yah being a covenant God, there's certain places that we are strangers. I'm a stranger in America. You are a stranger in the Caribbean. You're a stranger in Europe. You're a stranger in different parts of Africa. Why? Because originally, where was our land? The promised land. That's where we come from. We're scattered about, and we're strangers in different land. But wherever Yah takes us, it's for us to be a blessing in that land. So because I'm in America, I'm going to be a blessing to America. If you're in Europe, you should be a blessing to Europe. If you're in China, you should be a blessing to China. If you're in India, you should be a blessing in India. Because what did Yah promise to Abraham? Through you, I will bless the nations. Do you see how it's being fulfilled? So us being scattered is actually part of the prophecy, because us being scattered is helping us bless the nations. Now, how the nations treat us, that's different. That's their prerogative. How other people treat us, that's their prerogative. No, you don't worry about that, because Yah holds all nations. Remember, we already skipped that one. All the nations are accountable. All of them. What it said, verse 5, and the judgment of his mouth. Remember his marvelous works and the judgment of his mouth. And then verse 7, his judgments are in all the earth. You don't have to worry about the Gentiles or the nations. What you got to worry about is how we're fulfilling Yah's word, Yah's promise, how we're getting information, right? All right, let's continue. When there were but few men in number, very few, and strangers in it. So Yah started working with us when we were few. Remember from Abraham, when Abraham was struggling with Sarah, and this, we already did this session, so I don't want to go too much back into that. This is just a reflection, right? Struggling to have children, and he had a lot of adopted children. He had a lot of servants. God, in Hebrew culture, what we're calling servants is not the same thing as slaves. This is a little bit different. Servants are almost like employees, you see. And in Hebrew culture, they became part of his family. That's why all the house of Abraham got circumcised on the day that God told him that this would be a sign between us. So when you go to Africa and you see these tribes that are circumcised by tradition, that's the house of Abraham. Now, that doesn't make all of them Israelites, but that makes them house of Abraham, including the Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites, the Arabs know who they are, but a lot of Israelites don't know. And a lot of sons and daughters of Abraham don't know. And it doesn't matter if you're a son of Abraham directly or not. What matters if you have the faith of Abraham. That's more important than having direct lineage to Abraham. Direct lineage to Abraham, there's certain covenants that follow you that we have to keep. That the nations don't have to keep. And that's the difference between what Paul was teaching and what Peter was teaching, because they're teaching a different audience. Even Yeshua, when he came, it was a different audience. When he speaks to us, he's speaking to Israelites. But then he taught his disciples, to the Jews first, then to the rest of the nations. Do you see what's going on? But when Paul now was teaching, he had to be careful not to require the nations to go through covenants that's only for Abraham and his house, or just for the children of Israel. Following? Okay. Verse 13, when they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people. When they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people. This is why Solomon said there's nothing new under the earth. You think this is the first time we've been scattered? We are scattered on purpose, but we are scattered to be almost like missionaries, to be a blessing. Because Yah is blessing the world through the sons of Abraham. He suffered no man to do them wrong. Yeah, he reproved kings for their sakes. Guys, I'm going to tell you this right now. Be careful with the anointed of Yah. Be careful. All the nations, be careful with that. Because God is going to hold you accountable. As a matter of fact, the longer the judgment takes, the more grave it is. So if you see the children of Israel and you have an opportunity to be a blessing to them, bless them. Because Yah is going to bless you for that. Because if you curse them, there's a curse that's coming on you and your generations. And Yah is going to hold you accountable. And Yah will always pay you back. If you say, oh, I skipped it. No, your generation is not going to skip it. Your children are not going to skip it. Be careful how you treat the anointed of God. Be careful how you treat the covenanted people of God. Be careful how you treat anyone. Because here's the thing. If you wrong people, Yah owes you one. If you do right to people, Yah owes you one. So you set up your account. Think about it like, how do I want to set up my account with God? What kind of account do I want to have with God? Do I want something where He's going to pay me back curses or He's going to pay me back blessings? Just think about that. Yeah. He said, because He reproved kings. He suffered no man to do them wrong. Yeah, He reproved kings for their sakes. Y'all don't care about your title. Well, what does your title mean to Yah? Yeah, the earth, this whole earth, even if you were to gain this whole earth, it's His footstool. It's where He put His feet. That's the way He describes the earth, where I put my feet. That's why when the fallen ones were demoted, and some of us started worshiping the fallen ones, why would you worship the fallen? They were demoted down here. Children of Yah, we only worship the Most High. We don't worship the fallen ones. The fallen ones, we have more power than the fallen ones. They were demoted down here. They are living up our power. They're using us. Don't let the fallen ones use you. But when they're demoted, they went under Yah's feet. That's why even Yah still describes us as He will make our enemies under our feet, because He does that for Himself. When you rebel in His kingdom, He puts you under His feet. Right? 15, saying, touch not mine anointed and do my prophets no harm. Guys, this warning is very clear. Touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Yah sends us prophets all the time. All the time. They come and they tell us the truth. And what do? We take them out. We don't. And a lot of times, the children of Israel, we're the ones to do it. The prophets that send to us, we're the ones to get rid of them. Just I'll let you do your history. Go look at history and look at anyone who was leading us in saying truth. Truth against the power. We are the ones to betray them. Right? Okay. So verse 16, moreover, He called for a famine upon the land. He brake the whole staff of bread. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant. Hold on. He called for a famine upon the land. What's going on here? Jacob and his kids are out there. Yeah, why you gonna send a famine where Jacob and his kids are? Because when you're walking with Yah, He will use your circumstances to move you. I'm going to say that again. If you're not walking with Yah, it's different. But when you're walking with Yah, He will use circumstances to move you. Because without that famine, Jacob and his sons were never coming down to Egypt to reunite with Joseph. Without that famine, Joseph was not going to climb the ladder to be the vice president or in the second in command of a whole empire. It's not the Egypt. Look, the ancient Egypt is not that little country called Egypt today. It's a huge land, huge land. So Joseph was second in command of a whole empire. Are you following? So God called for a famine upon the land. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant. Wow. You see, hindsight is 2020. So now David is looking at this 2020, like, wow, look how Yah is moving. He create the problem and a solution. Now, some of the nations be trying to do that sometimes. Y'all stop trying to be like Yah. Stop trying to be like Yah, creating problems and solutions. You're not God. Stop trying to be like Yah. We're supposed to offer solutions to problems. The problems are already created. We offer solutions. We don't create problems to offer solutions. Don't do that. That's for Yah to do, because the world is His. You understand? We don't create a famine and then try to offer food. We don't do that. We offer solutions. All right. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with feathers. He was laid in iron. He was a prisoner. And this, I'm gonna take my time right there and acknowledge people who have been in prison. Your circumstance does not determine whose you are. Okay, I know in the human mind, if you steal something, you're a thief. If you kill something, you're a murderer, right? In God's spiritual world, Whose you are determines who you are for eternity. So whatever circumstance you are in, you can come out of that circumstance. You can come out of a gang circumstance. You can come out of a addiction circumstance. You can come out. All that's just a circumstance. It's a condition. We can always change. No condition is permanent. We can always change the condition. Why? Because it's not the condition that determines who we are. Whose we are determines who we are. That's why Rafiki tells Simba, you're Mufasa's son. And I'm here to tell you, you are Yah's son. You are Yah's daughter. That is above any title you can have in Hollywood, any title that you can have in the Olympics, fame, fortune, and all that stuff that you like. My days, this is all right. Until the time that his word came, the word of the Lord tried him. So until the time that his word came, the word of the Lord tried him. Children of Israel, trials and tribulations are part of the process. If you don't get that yet, you might as well embrace it. There is no, please show me where you are king or you are prophet and everything is just, you just on the high mountains. No, there's a walk from the valley to the top of the mountain. You can't just say, I'm just jumping from one top of the mountain to the next one. You got to go through those valleys. Okay, it's the trials and tribulations is part of the process. Right? The king sent, verse 20, the king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people, and let him go free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his substance, to bind his princes at his pleasure and teach his senators wisdom. Children of Israel, sons and daughters of Abraham. Did you hear just the description of Joseph? To teach his senators wisdom, to bind his princes at his pleasure, and teach his senators wisdom. Imagine if Congress, imagine if Parliament would have the prophets of God come in and teach them. Imagine how different the world will be. Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. Wow. Do you see the principle? Even David is starting to recognize that God has principles and covenants. He says, sojourn where? In the land of Ham. He's saying, that's Ham's land. We're strangers in it. And he recognizes it. So wherever you are today, we're sojourning in those lands. Now, we may have bought land from that, which is we should, because we don't go and take from people. Hebrews, we don't go and take from people. We go and add to people. So if you want land in the Caribbean, you go buy it. You want land in Africa, you go buy it. You want land in Brazil, South America, you go buy it. Wherever you want land, you go buy it. But remember, you're a blessing. I don't care how much they're selling visas. You are a blessing to wherever you're going. You're worth more than that visa. Okay? All right, so it says, Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham and increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. So sometimes what happens is, as we are scattered and we are being a blessing in the land, sometimes the nations start to acknowledge something. These people are stronger. These people are smarter. Everything they touch is flourishing. So sometimes admiration turns into jealousy. You see? Because especially as we start to increase in numbers. So, our population is growing a little bit too much. They came into our land, but they're growing a little bit too much because the covenant of Abraham still follows us. Just go do the research on the population today. It's growing fast among the sons of Abraham, sons and daughters of Abraham. If you don't know who they are yet, then you still don't know your Bible yet. We're proliferating. After all the genocide, all the famines, all the wars, we're still proliferating. Why? Because the word of Yah, it still stands. He turned their heart, he said, and he increased this people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. He turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. Hold on. He turned their heart to hate his people? What's going on here? God turned their heart to hate his people? What's going on here? Why would you do that? Why would you make the Gentiles not like us? Why would you make us not be liked? Why would you make the nations afraid of us? Why would you make them not like us? Why would you do that? Yah has a purpose in all of this. Remember, admiration can turn into jealousy. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. They showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. They showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. So Yah sets up the whole setting. You know, when you're writing a story, you have a setting. Yah is the one directing this movie we call life. Right? So he's setting up the whole scene, and he makes the nations afraid of us. They go from admiring us to disliking us. You know, it's one thing for us to play ball. We can play basketball for them. We can play football for them. You know, but then if we're working with them, they're afraid of us. Why? Yah has created this envy. You know, right? But as people, we are not responsible for others people's behaviors. We are responsible for our behaviors. So, you know, my mother, I have to quote my mother for this one. She always used to tell me, a rose by any other name is still a rose. So, children of Israel, sons and daughters of Abraham, I don't care where they don't like you, you're blessed to be a blessing still. The covenant of Yah still follows you. Still follows us, right? All right, so Moses and Aaron he had chosen, they showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made it dark, and they rebelled not against his word. He turned their waters into blood and slew their fish. Their land brought forth frogs in abundance in the chambers of their kings. He spake, and there came diverse sorts of flies and lice in all their coast. He gave them hail for rain and flaming fire in the land. So these are all talking about. So now we're talking about the plagues of Egypt. He's doing. Why is David doing this? This is a song. He's doing a whole song on this because he wants to remember for himself, to reflect on it, but he wants the next generations not to forget what Yah has done. We don't want to have to go through that again. We don't want to go through it. Even Egyptians don't want to go through that again. We already been there and done that, right? All right. He gave them hail for rain and flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also and their fig trees and brake the trees of their coast. His spake and the locusts came and caterpillars and that without number, and did eat up all the herbs in their land and devoured the fruit of their ground. You know, when Yah turns against you, it looks like nature is fighting you. What's that movie where they have the nature fighting? Was it Avatar, where all the nature was like fighting? Yeah, that's when Yah is against you. So sometimes Yah may not necessarily be against you because, for example, with Jacob, he caused a famine. He called for a famine in the land so that Jacob would move. But for Egypt, he's doing more than a famine now. With the plagues, he was against them. So sometimes God may be for you, but he will still allow you to go through certain circumstances to get you to move in different ways, to get you to do something. That doesn't mean he's against you. He uses circumstances. But nature and all this it's our God's will. The animals work for Yah. If you don't know that, they all work for Yah. So yeah. So it said and did eat up, verse 35, did eat up all the herbs in the land and devoured the fruit of their ground. He smote also all the firstborn in their land, the chief of all their strength. He smote all the firstborn in their land. You know, in in native culture, the firstborn carries the blessings, carries the covenants. Yah slayed the firstborn of their lands. And during Passover, I'll talk more about this. Every firstborn that comes from a Hebrew woman has a certain covenant. Did you guys know that? It's not my word, but Passover will cover this. Because he said, because I took their firstborns, and spared your firstborns, they all belong to me. Do you see why all the abortion clinics are in our neighborhoods? We don't really understand the power of our firstborns, do we? There's a covenant specifically for the firstborn of all Hebrew women in the world. Man, Yah's word has so much revelation in it, doesn't it? Verse 37, he brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. Man, David is making sure we know. We didn't come out poor. To this day, the wealthiest man who's ever lived, and in the Bible and post Bible, both Hebrew. The first one, the wealthiest man who's ever lived in the Bible, Solomon. He asked for wisdom, and God added wealth to it. And then outside of the Bible, Mansa Musa from Mali, Hebrew culture, all circumcised tribes, Hebrew. God has blessed many. There's many other nations who have been blessed in very many ways. I'm just saying, do you see how the blessings of Abraham follows our people wherever they are? All the way in Timbuktu. All the way over there in Timbuktu. Right? So also silver and gold. And to this day, we wonder why our children like silver and gold. It's part of us. Go ahead and rock your silver and matter of fact, invest in silver and gold. Because here's the thing we're doing. We're buying it from the nations. We're buying it from the Gentiles. Start investing in it. Go to Africa and invest in it yourself and get it directly and start selling it. That's what we need to do, children of Israel. Yeah. All that gold that Ishmaelites have, guess where they get it from? They get it from us. The Ishmaelites got a lot of gold in Dubai. I don't think there's any gold. There's a lot of oil over there, but I don't think there's any gold over there. They get it from us. So go ahead and get your gold on, but let's not take our gold for granted. We need to stop taking our resources for granted, children of Israel, sons and daughters of Abraham. God is blessing us, and we take it for granted. We let the nations just come take it. Those resources are for us to get, wealth off of it. Egypt, verse 38. Egypt was glad when they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. Which nation in the world has not been afraid of us? Please let me know which nation that is. Everywhere we've been, they've been afraid of us. Everywhere we've been, they have a byword for us. Are you starting to see where all this is from Yah? Yah allows it. When you start to understand that Yah allows it, you start to embrace it better, deal with it and manage it better. You understand? So Egypt was glad when they left. Bye. See ya. Why? Because they're afraid if we let them stay over here, they're going to take over what we have. Right? So he spread a cloud for a cover, verse 39. He spread a cloud for a covering and fire to give light in the night. So now Yah is leading us through the desert. A cloud for a covering and a fire to give light in the night. The people asked, and he brought quails and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. So if you wonder why Hebrews in America and across the world to this day like chicken, they always say we like chicken. Well, go back and read. The people asked, and he brought quails and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. How can we not like chicken? When we're going through the desert, guess what we're eating? Wild chicken. That's what a quail is, a wild chicken. That's what it is. Yeah. You see when you go to the parks, you don't have to chase the pigeons, they come to you. That's how it was. We'd be over there camping, they would just come over there. They would just come in flocks. flocks of quail. And you say you wonder why we like chicken. The chickens follow us. Oh my goodness. This man, I'm enjoying this Bible study today. Verse 41, he opened the rock and the waters gushed out. They ran in the dry places like a river, for he remembered his holy promise and Abraham his servant. What did he do? He remembered. This is all about remembrance. God has to remember. David is remembering, and he is recounting so that our children don't forget who they are. Verse 43, and he brought forth his people with joy and his chosen with gladness. Yah enjoys blessing us. Yah enjoys taking us to the promised land. And verse 44, and gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people. Do you see how God gives us more than we ask for? We're just asking for, I'm just trying to do this. Nah, what you trying to do? I'm going to make that exponential. Because I own it all. That's the way he owns it all. He gives it to who he wants to. So walk rightly with him and be blameless. That's what he asked Abraham for. Be blameless. That means don't have no blame for nothing wrong. Even when you go to war, let it be righteous. Everything you do, let it be righteous. Be blameless. If you do something wrong, go and write it. I did wrong. I was wrong in this. Please accept my apology. Let's make peace. Right? Last verse. That they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Praise ye the Lord. My days, that's a long psalm. Right? So I'm gonna close the Bible. We have probably maybe 10 more minutes left before we're at the hour. So I'm gonna close the Bible verse with now that we have done remembrance, Ezekiel. Before I do Ezekiel, I probably should do the scattering. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 4:27. Deuteronomy. $4.27. Okay, so this is Moses speaking. So Moses came way before David, right? And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whether the Lord shall lead you. Have you ever heard something called minority? Have you noticed how we're called minority in all the nations? We're a minority. But when you add us all up, we're a majority of all the nations. It's a dichotomy. When we are scattered, we're a minority. But when you add us all up, we're a majority. Because why? It goes back to Abraham. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. Children of Israel, we need to really start praying before going to the Word of God, because some of these things you can read in between the lines. What small God are we serving? Because we get introduced to all kind of different small gods that are not really God. They're not the Most High. The Most High is very jealous about this, and He will let us stay in our captivity longer because of this. Let's not adopt their gods. Give up their gods. They're small gods. Give it up, because they're not gods to us. They're not gods in the first place, but to us, for us to worship to participate in their worship, it's like an insult to Yah. Don't be bound down to no statues. Don't pay no sacraments to no wood. None of those things. Okay. If you want to pay sacraments, read the word of Yah. He will let you know what sacraments you need to do. But if from hence thou shalt seek the Lord thy God, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. When thou art in tribulation and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord thy God, and shall be obedient unto his voice. For the Lord thy God is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of the fathers which he sware unto them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day that God created man upon the earth, and ask from one side of heaven unto the other, whether there had been any such thing as this great thing, or had been heard like it. Did ever people hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and live? So now he's telling the congregation of Israel, we need to be careful because of what's going on here. Yah's presence is so powerful among us that we need to always remember it. And when it scatters us and we're a minority and we start worshiping different small gods, he says, even in there, when we remember who he is, he's merciful to forgive us. Why? Because he has a covenant he wants to keep with us. Yah has a covenant with our fathers that he would like to keep with us. All we got to do is return to him. Give up the voodoo, give up the witchcraft, give up the religions. It's not about a religion. All those religions that the Gentiles have used to keep us captive, give it all up. What does Yah want? Relationship. Relationship. Restoration with him. Restoration of his people. Relationship. He wants us to relate with him. He wants us to restore. He wants us to remember. Right? Remember, have a relationship, and restore. Those are the hours that we're working on. Remember the relationship and restore. Right? So we're gonna end it there for today. Remember whose you are. I think I'm gonna have to do a part 2 of this, just because it's such a heavy. I could go even much more longer, because in the last days, yeah, there's a prophecy about us, about how we're gonna come together. It's already happening. You know, prophecies are inevitable. The prophecy of Yah is inevitable. Now, sometimes the nations have tried to stop the prophecies from coming. You know, they try to assassinate our messiahs from birth. Even, you know, now with the abortion clinics, they're trying to assassinate us from the womb. So there's many ways they try to, you know, assassinate the prophecy. But the prophecy is inevitable. It's in us. So the part 2 of this, I'll talk a little bit more about the prophecies and how those are being fulfilled right in front of our eyes. How the gathering of people of Yah is coming back together. The covenant people are coming back together. And all the nations are going to see it. And it's going to be a testimony for all the nations to return to Yah as well. So don't mind too much what the nations are doing. Let them do. Let them do them. You do you. Let them do them. You do you. Don't get too captivated about what they're doing. Let's get captivated about what we're doing with Yah. How are we remembering, relating, and restoring? Remember, relate, and restore. So the movie, the Lion King, is about you, Simba. It's time to go back to the pride. Remember, relate, and restore. Isn't that what Simba did? Do you see these archetypes are all over in life, in our stories, in our lives? You see it. So let's remember and get to it. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed this today, but all good things come to an end on this earth. So I am going to cut it there so that we don't pass the hour mark, because we could go on and on about remembering. But thanks be to God for David writing that song. Thanks be to God for Moses. David is Dauda. Dauda, that's how we say it in my culture. A lot of Hebrews in West Africa, Dauda. And Moses is Musa. Thanks be to God for Musa for writing those commandments and those prophecies so that we'll understand what is happening today. With that said, the most important thing, my wife was telling me that for me to not forget to be saying a prayer. I don't think I've ever said a prayer on television. I usually, on the camera, I usually say, Maybe we're supposed to go on television. I don't know, but I've never said it on camera. I usually say it off camera. So, but what I want to start doing is that, hey, at the end of each Bible study, I would just say a brief prayer. Father in heaven, thank you for this Bible study. Thank you for what we learned today, for us to remember, relate, and restore. Help us to remember who we are. Help us to relate with you and each other, and help us to restore that which is broken. All this we say, ask your only Son, Yeshua. Amen. All right, guys. Have a blessed week. I'll see you again next time at Bible Cafe here at the Love Center.